Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. Today we're in our Su-27 and we're going to look at bombing and dispensers. So this will cover the Su-27, the Su-33, the 3 Mig-29 variants and the J-11A. Although these planes aren't identical, their functionality is the same, that I can just show them in one plane and we won't lose any significant details. So we're going to go to the arming screen. And we're going to go to pylon 3 here, bombs, and let's look at the different types of bombs that we can have. We can have a BETAB. These are anti-fortification bombs. There's 500 kilos, 500 kilos SHP. Now, I'm not sure what the SHP version is. As far as I'm aware, the SHP is the anti-runway version, and the standard BTAB is general anti-fortifications, but I stand to be corrected. Next, an FAB. This is a basic, a normal, unguided slick bomb with 250 kilo total size, warhead, high explosive, I think 125 kilos. Next is a single FAB 500 M62. That's a 500 kilo bomb, I think, with a 250 kilo high explosive warhead. Next are the 2 KMG-U dispensers. These are bomblet dispensers. The dispenser stays attached to the aircraft, and when we hold the trigger down to fire, basically it drops a series of 96, I think, sub-munitions over the target. We have AO warhead type and PTAB warhead type. I believe AO is anti-personnel, PTAB anti-armor. Next we have a Mirror 6 launcher with 3 times Fab 250s. We next have a Mirror 6 launcher again with, a Mirror launcher with 6 times Fab 100s, 100 kilo unguided slick bombs. Next, an RBK. This is a unguided cluster bomb that explodes in the air and submunitions fall down, 250 total kilos. PTAB, which I believe is anti-armor, and the same thing but AO, which I believe is anti-personnel. Similar again, RBK 500, 500 kilo cluster bomb, PTAB, anti-armor, a different type of PTAB, I don't know what that is, and I believe this is the anti-personnel variant, the OAB. And finally, a SAB 100, that is an illumination bomb. Regarding drop heights, the BTAB, the FABs, the mirrors, and the RBKs, they can all be dropped anywhere above 300 meters basically, and that's fine with them. The higher you go, the less accurate you're going to be, but there's no actual limit to the height. A SAB 100 between 1,000 and 3,000 meters. AGL is the best drop height for that. And the KGM anywhere between 50, very low down, anywhere between 50 and 150 meters. So we're going to arm up on the outer pylons. Let's put BTAB 500's SHPs. I should mention that we can't have them on these outer pylons in the Su-27. Let's have a Fab 500 M62 on 7. Now we can have asymmetric loadouts on the plane. It lets us do that, which is really cool. So we can have Fab 500 there, and we can have, why don't we have a KMG munition dispenser, and then we can have on here a RBK 500 anti-armor. And on here we can have an MER6 with 6 small Fab 100s. Right, so we're going to be doing different types of bombing. There are 2 different types of bombing we can do in these aircraft. It is CCIP and CCRP. CCIP, continuously calculated in-back point, and the other one is continuously calculated release point. We're going to use CCRP for these parachute bombs, the BTAB SHPs. We're going to use CCRP for the KMG dispenser. We're going to use CCIP for the Fab 100s, the RBK, and the Fab 500. They are just the most suitable bombing techniques for that type of bomb. Okay, let's arm up. Okay, we're fully armed up. We're going to fire the engines up now and take off. One thing I should notice, to arm these flaming Cliff 3 planes up, you need to have your canopy open and your engines off. Okay, let's go and find some targets. Okay, welcome back. We've got in the air and we've found some targets, a line of armoured vehicles down there. So we're going to start by using our Fab 500. So the first thing we need to do is select it. In fact, before we do anything, let's go and look at the keys we're going to be using today. All very simple, just controls. We're going to use fire weapon to drop the bomb. We're going to use change weapon there to change between the bombs. And the 7 button there to switch to air to ground mode. So let's switch to air to ground mode. And we can see that we've got, first of all, we have to decide which, or choose which bomb we're going to use. So we've got our ordnance selector here. This tells you which pylon we've got selected at the time. You can see that one and that one we've got selected. If our ordnance type here, if it's a B, then it's a bomb. If it's DSP, then it's a dispenser. So we're going to press the change select weapon button. That is the dispenser. Now take note that this is mirrored to the ordnance selection screen that we had back when we were on the ground. So if I remember correctly, it should be this one, should be the Fab 500. So that is our Fab 500. So now what we're going to do is going to turn around. We're going to go in for a dive bomb on these guys. So we're going to use CCIP. CCIP is used for dive bombing. We want to dive from an altitude of 1700 to 2000 meters AGL at a dive angle of 10 to 20 degrees and a speed of between 600 and 900 kilometers per hour. And that can be indicated or true airspeed. It's not too important. And at that point, we'll have some CCIP symbology. So, first of all, let's just turn around and get our dive in order. Okay, we're at altitude now, so we're going to turn in now, gain some speed. Adjust our trim. We're now going to maneuver ourselves so that our CCIP pipper here will be on the target of interest. Why don't we pick, say, the nearest guy to us? We're then going to keep that, maneuver our plane so we keep that point as honestly as we can on that target. We won't be able to do it perfectly, but keep it there and just keep ourselves as straight and level as possible and not adjusting our speed, keeping our speed as level as possible as well. I know that's hard to do in a dive, but we'll try and do that. Whoops. So, let's get that guy there. And now we're going to wait until our symbology arrives that we are ready to drop. Stop. That is our symbology now, so we're good to drop. We've got our launch authority now, and we've got our plumb line of our CCIP. So all we've got to do is unpause and press drop. Bomb away. Get safe. Boom. Shack. Right, so next we're going to go round with our cluster bomb. So we're going to select it. It is our RBK 500. So that's it selected there. And regards employment, it's going to be exactly the same. Our minimum drop height is going to be 300 meters. We're going to do a dive bomb of exactly the same parameters and use it just as we did with the single warhead bomb there. So back up to speed, back up to altitude. Okay, we're going to turn in again now. Got our bomb, our cluster bomb selected. Let's build the speed up. This time we'll go for the other end of the convoy. Need to lose a little bit of altitude. And in we go. It's good to zoom in like this to get maximum detail. Drop and pull. And we got another one. Okay, next we want to use our mirror rack with our 6x Fab 100s. This is going to work a little bit differently. So let me just select that. That's them. So I said back in the briefing on the runway that we were going to use a CCIP drop for this. I've changed my mind now. I think it'll be more effective if we drop them on a CCRP drop. So the CCRP is going to be a little different. What we're going to do, in fact, let me turn around and get ready, and then I'll explain how we do it. So regards to this drop, again, it can be anything above 300 meters, and this time we're going to come in level rather than a dive bomb. So I'm going to lose some altitude. If I drop at about 1,000 meters would be good. AGL. Okay, we're coming in. We're going to get ourselves to altitude. So for a CCRP drop, the CCRP drop is used for level bombing rather than dive bombing. What we're going to do is get our CCRP pipper here. We're going to move it over the target that we want. At that point, we're going to, when it's over the target, we're going to press and hold the fire button. At which point we will be presented with some guidance symbology. At that point, we just have to keep our finger held on the trigger and follow the guidance information. And the bombs will be dropped not by us, but by the computer. They will be dropped at the calculated best point. So all we have to do is keep flying straight and fly to the guidance, and we'll be given a countdown here on the ranging bar. So let's get that. I just need to... Speed doesn't really matter. Over 600 ideally to avoid ground fire. One other thing. Because these, remember, are the rack bombs, which we can see under our belly there. There's lots of them. Rather than just dropping one, if we keep press and hold our trigger, then all of them are going to drop in a ripple. We can't select the duration or interval of that ripple. It's just a default value as far as I'm aware. So first thing is select the target. So we want to try and get that as accurate as we can. Let's try and get... In fact, we need to get in line would be better. Altitude's not going to matter as long as we keep above 300. Okay, that's better. Let's line up. So we're going to get that chap there. Now what we're going to do, let me try and pause that. So I'm keeping my finger on the trigger now. We've got our countdown bar on the left here. We've got our guidance CCRP symbol here. All we've got to do is fly to that and keep ourselves centered on that. We can tell that because we've got this up line here. We've got to keep this up line exactly in line with that dot there. As long as we do that, then we're following the rules of the CCRP. Keep our radar altitude above 300 and the computer will do the rest. So let me just try and concentrate for a second. So altitude is to stay level as possible. Okay, you can see the count bar on the left. We're going to tone when we're about to drop. When it reaches the bottom, it will drop. Just need to concentrate a little more. Left, right, left, and drop. It's a pretty good little ripple there. So you can see we killed several tanks with that one ripple. So that's that. Next we're going to go on to the dispenser. Weapon select. You can see we've got our dispenser selected here. Now this is going to work a little bit different. It's going to work with CCRP again. All the rules are going to stay the same as with that last drop. The only difference is going to be our altitude. It's going to be between 50 meters and 150 meters. So it's going to be pretty damn low. Other than that, everything stays the same. Speed, try and keep it above 600. Try and keep it constant. And try and keep your altitude as constant as possible. It can be quite dangerous doing this, but and we're going to keep our finger on the trigger again. We want to aim for the front tank of the convoy because it will spread. The dispensers will spread from that point onwards. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, I think that's enough range. We're going to dive in now. Nice tight turn. Start losing the altitude now. The first thing we want to do is select our target. We can do this from altitude, so just going to try and do that now, get it as accurate as we can. That front guy there, and tick. Okay, next we're going to lose the altitude and get ready for the bomb run. Trying to stay above 50 meters and below 150. And we're going to use our guidance circle just like we did before. This can take a little bit of getting used to it. I'm holding the trigger down now. It's going to do everything for me. Level out the altitude, getting a bit low here. It's dropping, it's dropping. Woo! That, sir, is one mullered convoy. Okay, so the only thing left is our B-tab SHP 500. So what we're going to do is find a runway to bomb, and where is... Oh, there's a runway right there. So we'll go out to sea and then come in and bomb that. This type of bomb can be dropped anywhere above 300 meters. So if we say 1,000 meters AGL, we'll go in at 1,000 and see if we can get it smack bam in the middle of the runway. Okay, that should do. Let's turn in. So let's get a nice line up on the runway. Speed, let's get above 600 knots. Let's hold that level. So again, we're going to maneuver. So our CCR pipper is in the middle of the runway, and we're going to press and hold once we're in the middle. There. And again, the same thing. We've got our steering dot here. We've got to maneuver our aircraft so that these lines, these straight lines here, keep level with that dot. That's all we've got to do, and keep as level as we can, and it will do the rest for us. So let's just do that then. It's important not to swerve off to the side, which is very easy to do. So, keeping level, keeping level. Just realised I'm dropping altitude, that's a bit silly. Power on. You see the one thing I've got to say is that the countdown here, it counts down that arrow there, and once it gets to the bottom, that's where the drop is. So let me try that again. And drop. I control my aircraft from here, that's pretty cool. Oh, there we go. Boom! Oh, I missed. You can see, I don't know why they went either side of the runway, but you can see that the aiming point was clearly in the middle of the runway there, so they decided to diverge for some reason. Otherwise, that's about it really. Our dispenser stays attached to the pylon, as you can see, so we've covered all of the bombs and the dispenser general types there. We've covered CCIP targeting and CCRP targeting. It's all really accurate and really easy to use with this plane, so go out and you can be really effective with it. The only other thing I wanted to point out is that we do have a salvo mode. So if we had, say, I don't know, 6 pylons and they all had Fab 250 bombs on them, we can drop them, even though they're separate pylons, we can drop them in a salvo, and we would use this salvo mode, left control and V. So if we engage that, then we can press and hold the trigger and we would essentially drop all our bombs like in a big ripple like we did with those Fab 100s. That's all I could think to say on that. I hope that helps, and I'll see you